we're going to explore freedom, finding freedom and personal fulfillment in your life. And it's going to be the theme for this month of July. Freedom is so important, and it's something that all of us yearn for on a spiritual level. It is the essence of your spirit, is to be free. To be free to expand beyond the limitations of the past, to be free from the pain of the past, so that you can soar toward greater wholeness and fulfillment in your life. And so, with freedom, renewal is of your personal power, to renew your sense of empowerment. And we all have freedom. We either use it or give it away. But everyone has freedom. And we're going to unravel and unpack what freedom means and how to apply it today, how to begin to grab hold of the freedom that is your birthright, and not only to be aware of it and understand it, but to apply it, to shift it in your body, your mind, your soul, and your spirit. And so understanding what freedom is something that most people haven't really considered or thought about. And when most people think of freedom, they think about things they want to be free from, free of. I want to be free of the pain. I want to be free of this constriction. I want to be free of this imprisonment or this addictive response or this addictive reaction or this pattern from the past. I want to be free and to get out of something that no longer serves me, that I have outgrown or I have matured beyond. And most people think of that. And so what's important is that is half of the equation. Freedom from and freedom of this situation is half of the equation. The other half of the equation is what you want to be free to be, to think, to feel, to experience. And it's not enough just to want to push off of the past, to push away from what you want to get rid of. You also need to have a clear vision of where you want to be. How will your life be different once you're free from the pain? Can I imagine myself being free to feel the pleasure of daily living versus the pain and the struggle? You see, without the vision of the future, without where you want to go, freedom is limited. And you know people that get stuck constantly trying to fix the past, trying to fix the pain, trying to fix, and it just becomes this endless spiral because they can't even imagine themselves free from it. They can't see themselves being free from this debilitating pain or this destructive relationship or this imprisoning need for alcohol or drugs or food or sex or whatever the addictive reaction is. And so freedom from is easy to define because it's in your life and you feel the pain and you feel the imprisonment, and it's easy to define that. But most people are afraid to leap into the future where the fulfillment of that freedom exists. What will be the fulfillment of healing that pain? Can I imagine myself functioning day in, day out, enjoying the freedom that I've been trying to free myself to experience? Can I open up to ground the future that has the freedom in place? You see, that's the part that's trickier. That's the part that people go into self-doubt. They go into a place of, I don't know if I can believe it's possible for me. Well, it's important for you to shift that belief and own the possibility of being free. And that takes more work than just, I want to get rid of this bad habit, or I want to stop this imprisoning relationship, or I want to be free from the pain. I need to be able to know what my reality will look like once that pain has ended. I need to be able to dream of a loving relationship that no longer imprisons you. Or I need to be able to dream myself, see myself, anchor myself in the future where I no longer am at sufferance to that addictive pattern and reaction from the past. So the freedom from needs to have a vision of the future in order for you to be able to truly be free. And that's The freedom from that leads to a freedom of a new state of being, a new way of functioning and feeling and experiencing yourself is where the fulfillment lies. As we enter into July 2023, the month's focus is on freedom and forgiveness, because they are so intricately linked. And in this year of renewal and rebirth, a rebirthing of your power, a rebirthing of your purpose, and a rebirthing of your energy is so much the key to allowing the destiny of this year to unfold, to reawaken a new level of consciousness. And this new level of consciousness, at its foundation, is born of freedom. The word freedom compels everyone. Everyone loves the word freedom. And also, if they were to tell themselves the truth, there's also an inhibitance, a reluctance, a resistance to freedom, a resistance to being free, because, I understand and I know how to deal with the limitations and the restrictions and even the pain. I know how to deal with that. But to be free from those things, when so many people identify who they are with the pain and the suffering, they identify themselves with those ideas that I'm the struggler. And that's how I value myself, is how hard I struggle in life. Well, to be free of the struggle then means I need to be free from my own sense of identity, how I see myself. And so freedom is inherently linked to the core and the essence of your being. That's what scares you. That's what challenges you. Because as many of you on here have heard me talk, and you know that all change, regardless of its nature, positive or negative, all change, expansive or constricting, all change produces chaos. So to change at the core level of your being, where I let go of the pain of my past and I unlock the prison door from this relationship that no longer serves me and I step beyond it, or I open up and heal a conditioned response that is rooted in addictive behavior, that all hinges upon me changing at a deep fundamental level. To be free, to see myself free from, is an identity crisis oftentimes. So I can't even imagine myself stopping this bad habit. I can't even imagine myself without the daily struggle that I've been putting myself through since the time I was a grown-up in my early years. And you see, this freedom is such an essential part of your nature. It is a part of your spirituality. It is part of the real seeking and searching of your destiny. Every one of you have a destiny. And our destiny is our destination. It is where you are going and the reason you're going there. The destiny of the ego has a certain destination: to survive, to struggle, to survive, to prove your value and worth, often through suffering and struggling, is what the ego has been conditioned to believe is the way of the world. And that the form will give me the feeling and the function. If I can just get enough of money, if I can just find the right relationship, if I can just stop this bad habit, if I can just control the physical needs, the physical reactions. And so your ego, and all of us have an ego, it has a destination of struggle and frustration ultimately. And it is the default destiny. A person who doesn't choose to deepen their awareness and understanding of their true nature, of their soul and their spirit, when they choose to believe that all that matters about me is how I look and appear and what I do for a living and how many degrees on the wall and all the trappings of the form, and that becomes the motivation for living, is to get more form, to get more education, to get more, to get more, to get more, but not to be more, not to see myself as more. That becomes a limitation. And so our spirituality and our true destiny of our soul and spirit is always a choice. And in order to have a choice, you need two possibilities, right? Well, the ego's possibilities out there is to continue to just get through life and to survive and to make it from week to week to paycheck to get through your life, and then to, maybe splurge on a 2-week vacation once a year. But it becomes the same old, no challenge, no reaching, no stretching, just existing. And so many people on that path of the ego's destination, what is their destiny? To retire one day, because they don't even enjoy their work that they're doing. So that's sad and it's frustrating, but it is a destiny, and we all need a designed destination, because it is that destination that is motivating you and pulling you forward. It is your future and your concept of the future that is changing and influencing how you think and feel today. When you have a bright future, when you have dreams of a future, when you can imagine the most beautiful possibilities manifesting, it changes how you think, feel, and behave currently. So your destiny is one of a choice. Am I going to be free? Hear that. Be free from my ego's designed destiny to suffer, to struggle, to get through life, to pay my dues so I can finally retire and take it easy and enjoy my life once I'm in my 60s or 70s. That's a choice. And we all have that choice. So your destiny is based upon, am I choosing to be free of the ego's destination and to explore the many realms of the possibilities within me, of my soul and my spirit, to find the fulfillment of what it means to be who I am, to be the unique expression of God. God is all that is, the divine destiny of who you truly are. And you see, that choice always requires you to face freedom. The freedom from what has been already designed and designated as who you are. The freedom from the constrictions of labels and identifications that you have experienced in life. Not to say they were wrong, no, but to move beyond them. So many people get caught up in a label. This is what it means to be a man. This is what it means to be a woman. This is what it means to be Southern. This is what it means to be from the North or from the West Coast or the East Coast. All the societal norms, all of the restrictions, all of the labels. Who am I? Oh, I know who I am. I'm an alcoholic, codependent, schizophrenic, fill in the blank. There's all these labels that the ego loves to cling to, because then at least I have an answer. It's a painful answer. It's a frustrating answer, but at least I know who I am. And then you identify with a label that perhaps your parents demonstrated, perhaps well-meaning teachers, siblings, other people, but you create a limited persona. And that served you, and you needed it as the first part of your life. As a child, adolescent, a teenager, as you grow into the mature adult years, as you become the grown-up, you needed to have an anchoring to the physical world. So you adopted what most other people define for you. And the spiritual challenge is to move beyond those self-defined, self-chosen identities that you've clung to. And to be free is scary, because freedom, when you shift out of the way you've identified yourself, it's scary, because you feel a sense of dread. Dread is a different form of fear. It's different. Dread is the imminent threat of your very being. Where fear can come about with, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my house, I'm going to lose my trappings, I'm going to lose my car, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose my financial security, all the form. Those are fears, but dread is deeper. Dread is, if I really change and heal this pain from my past, then I no longer have to numb out with this addictive reaction. And I have built an identity and image of myself as being the struggler around this identity of smoking or of drinking or of drugs or whatever. I have built an identity. So it's not enough just to be free. Yes, I want to be free from the negativity of that pattern, but am I willing to be free to be a different person, to become more of who you are? And this hinges upon a couple of those choices that each of our destiny challenges us. The first way to shift into explore freedom is understanding that you are a spiritual being. You are a being. And from your beingness, from your presence, from your energy, from your resonance made up of your attitudes, beliefs, thoughts, feelings, choices, decisions, from who you are as a being, you then take action to do things. Well, most people in the ego is only concerned with the freedom of the actions, but they never stop to change and shift into who am I going to be while I'm taking those actions. One of the first secrets of freedom is to choose who am I going to be today, in this moment, in this meeting, in this interaction, in this proposal, in this job interview. Who am I going to be? And you always have the opportunity to choose that. Am I going to be valuable or valueless? Am I going to be empowered or powerless? Hoping, praying that they're going to accept me, praying and hoping that they're going to like me, praying and hoping, and I'll do everything and I'll sing and dance and audition for them to try to convince them that I'm worthy, to try to convince them that I'm valuable, even though I don't deep down really feel it, but I'm trying to perform it, says the ego part of us. But when you can step into and own the truth and beauty of who you are as a spiritual being, and you can feel the value of your uniqueness that you have to give to the world, and you can step into that presence of power, the being powerful, not doing powerful, being powerful. And when you begin by choosing who am I going to be as I move forward in my life, and to begin to shift your image and identity, to see yourself being valued, to being loved, valued, appreciated, supported by life itself, can set you free from the imprisonment where you felt misunderstood, unappreciated, taken advantage of, overworked, underpaid, all the different consequences of the past. Freedom, so important. The first secret is to know that I need to shift the beingness of my nature. Who am I going to be today? As you lie in bed in the morning and you're in between the waking state and the dream state, make that choice. Today is going to be a wonderful day. Today I'm going to explore new possibilities for healing or changing or growth or whatever it is. Today I'm going to be empowered. I'm going to be loving, compassionate, connected. I'm going to be there to support and value myself and others. In that order. Because you really can't support and value others until you have valued and supported yourself. You need to be full of the power and the presence and the value that you want to give to other people. If you're lacking it, trying to do it for others and bolstering them up is only going to lead to frustration. You know what I'm talking about. So freedom challenges you to become more of who you are. And that's the scary part, because we've so identified with the limitations of the ego that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not valuable enough yet, I haven't learned enough, I haven't done enough, I haven't blah, blah, blah. Never enough, never enough, never enough. That's the cornerstone, and ultimately the foundation that the ego feels is, I'm not enough. And guess what? Your ego's right. If you just listen to your ego and you want to create your dreams, your ego is not enough to get you there. It knows it inherently. It knows it needs help and assistance. It needs a soul and a spirit and a dream and a vision. It needs your empowered self to fulfill your destiny. Your ego cannot do it alone. As much as it would like to pretend it can, to avoid the love, to avoid the support, to avoid the help, it can't. And deep down, it knows that. So, becoming free is an opportunity to accelerate your growth and your evolution on planet Earth. And all of us are here on a journey, a spiritual journey, to gain greater freedom, to be who you are destined to be on a soul level. And as you are embracing and reaching and stretching to expand your concept of self as a spiritual being who also is a human being. It's not either or. It's not, I'm going to be spiritual and abandon and get rid of this mundane part of my reality called my ego and my physical world. No. Your goal is to awaken as a spiritual being and then to create heaven on earth, to transform the frustration of the ego's destiny into fulfillment, into being fully filled with what? Your value. Being fully filled with your power. The power it takes to change, to create, to manifest your dreams that you desire for yourself, for other people, and for humanity. That is what to be fully filled with your value, your power, to be fully filled with the love of your spiritualness, your spiritual nature, the love of your soul, which is eternal. A love that doesn't suffer and sacrifice, but a love that heals and attracts and creates magic and miracles in your life. You see, our ego will read the books and hear about this love that transforms everything. It'll recognize and it'll sense and it'll get a sense of, yeah, love changes everything. Love is the magic and miracles. And yet it never stops to redefine its formula for love that was learned from your parents, from siblings, from teachers, from life, from Disney's version of movies, from the media. And it takes an earthly definition of love and says, well, love means to give up, to suffer, to struggle, to hurt, to do without, for the needs of others and only. And it's that whole concept. And you go about doing that kind of love and expect magic and miracles to happen, and it doesn't work. And the problem is the ego then says, see, love doesn't work. No. What you defined was love was really martyrdom. What you defined as being love was to suffer and sacrifice, which is not what love requires. Egos require that. Churches and religions taught that to disempower people. Not consciously, perhaps, but that's the ultimate result. And so, letting yourself shift and think about, who am I going to be, as one of the first secrets to expanding into the realm of freedom. Freedom from the pain, freedom from the past, freedom from the imprisonment, freedom from the addictive reactions of habits that no longer serve you. So important. The role of the future is imperative to anchoring and creating freedom in the present moment. The role of having a sense in your mind, in your imagination, in your dreams of the future you desire, where you are whole, where you are pain-free, meaning that you feel pleasure and comfort, where you are no longer at the sufferance of an addictive behavior, where you are no longer succumbing to compulsion and obsessive behaviors that no longer serve you, where you are free to explore new levels of love that create the synchronicity and the magic and the miracles, to move beyond, to be free from the limiting definitions of the past that didn't work, so that you can explore the new and the joyful path of fulfillment. You see, your destiny is the future. Where you're heading is the future. And that is either given to your ego to define, to craft, to carve and to chisel and to come up with a future where I just get through life and I retire. That's why most people die after they retire, most men especially, because they've identified themselves with their work. They stop working and their identity gets weakened, and they give up on life and they check out in 2 years. Now that's changing as people are evolving, but I'm saying in the past, especially in the eras from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, most men who retired were dead in 2 years because they no longer had a sense of purpose and hey, I provided for my family. I did everything I was supposed to do, and then I don't have any dreams beyond retirement. And when you don't have any dreams beyond retirement, then you start turning to your body to fix yourself and to stay healthy and to just keep my blood pressure normal, whatever that means. But to keep yourself kind of monitoring, just existing, that becomes the destiny, is keep my body alive. Not even healthy and vibrant, just keep it going with medications, with pills, and it becomes a destiny of frustration, where you think to yourself, is this what life, the purpose of life, is all about? Well, to the ego, yes. But all of you on here, and all who are listening, know that there's more to you than just your ego. You know you have a soul. You have a spirit. And that soul and spirit can guide you out of the fray and the frustration of the limited future that your ego has designed. And it can open you up to not only remember the truth of who you are, but beyond remembering, to step into and to start to function as that empowered being. To start functioning. Now you don't take a quantum leap and completely transform everything in your life all at once. It would create what? What does change produce? Chaos. It would create way too much chaos for you to deal with. So you work on transforming this area of your life, and you become comfortable, and then you move through the chaos that produces till it stabilizes and it's a new level of resonance and being. And then you work on this area of your life, and you bolster that, and you change that, and you shift your identity and image, and you get comfortable with that. And then you continue the different areas like a dance until you rise up, continuing to become more, continually evolving toward being free and toward being fulfilled, fully filled with who you truly are, your soul and spirit. Fulfillment. People are trying to find it, and they're looking in all the wrong places to try to find it. If I can just get enough money in the bank, then I'll be fulfilled. Well, people that have a lot of money in the bank and they get that security, they're still like, there's something missing. I don't know what it is, but I don't feel fulfilled yet. Because I still am afraid of that money disappearing. So my power isn't fulfilled. I've substituted my power with dollars in the bank. Again, there's nothing wrong with dollars in the bank, but don't let it be your source of power. Own your power. You are the one who created it in the bank in the first place. You're the one who allowed it to become part of your vibration. And you can own the power that you have to continue that. So freedom requires that you design a destiny that is free. Meaning I have to open up to a future vision of myself. This is the second secret to freedom, is to have a future vision of yourself being free from whatever it is you say you want to be free from. If you want to be free from being misunderstood and taken advantage of by others, suffering and struggling, if you want to be free from that, you have to be able to imagine yourself being loved, valued, and supported by others. You have to be willing to see yourself being cherished and being loved and appreciated. Because it begins in your imagination. All change begins in the imagination. And if I can't imagine myself without being free from the pain, then I will never ever actually manifest it. It's not bad and wrong, but you're just focusing on what you don't want. I'm trying to push off of and trying to control and get rid of this negativity in my life, and I'm giving it all my time and attention instead of opening up and shifting to what I do want and giving that time and attention so that it can start to manifest. It's kind of like the old cliche, we're fighting for peace. Well, that doesn't ever really work. You can't bring a hostile energy in to create a passive energy. You have to let go of the fight. And in so many ways, when it's dealing with freedom, you become fixated on trying to control my behavior. If I can just control my eating patterns, if I can just control my drinking or drugs or my whatever it is that you're trying to control. That's not freedom. That's frustration. But can you expand beyond to open up to identify yourself as a person who used to have a bad habit, a person who used to succumb to whatever, a person who used to be stuck in an unfulfilling relationship, a person who used to be fill in the blank, riddled with pain, back pain, or can I open up to that vision of the future? Because it's so essential. It's so essential in being able to actually create freedom in your life. Many people talk of it. Many people espouse to it. Many people use it as principles. Yes, I want to be free. Talk about freedom, but do they have the courage to become free? Because that's the third secret. It takes courage to break free from the consensus reality that has defined who you should be according to their definition, their design. And it often goes against who you are meant to be, your soul's destination and design. And it takes courage to step out of the consensus and to become the unique expression that you are. Because you see, that's new to you. And that newness, I'm not sure if it's going to work out. I haven't experienced that very often when I'm standing and valuing myself and feeling the power and presence of my soul. That doesn't happen very often. It has happened throughout your life. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's never happened. But it was fleeting, short-termed, just to give you a taste of what it would feel like to be fully empowered. And you know those experiences in your life when you felt so connected and in that flow or in the zone and things were happening magically and miraculously, and then you freaked out. Oh my God, this is too good to be true. And you went back to what was familiar, the old pattern of struggle. That's familiar. There's safety there. Even though I don't like it, I know how to do it. And see where the courage comes in to let go of that? The courage to step into a new domain of being who you are. It takes courage. That's the third secret. So having a sense of your future and defining that future from a position of your soul's empowerment, from a position of fulfillment. Because if I do not create it in my mind, I will default to my ego's destination, which is always there as a backup. You need a place to go. You are physical. You are human. You are in this physical world. You need a destination. And if you don't carve and create it from yourself, then your ego will follow along with what everyone else is doing. And that's called mediocrity at the best. And it always leads to an emptiness, and a meaninglessness, and a feeling of frustration, and ultimately self-destruction. Ultimately self-destruction. So it's important to feed your soul. And those of you here listening who meditate, open up to asking your soul to help you to become free. I want to be free from, but I also want to be free to see a new version of myself. The empowered, the healed, the strong, the loving, the compassionate, the connected, the belonging part of me. I want to open up to that, because that is the anchor you need to grab hold of to step into a new reality. You see, you can't cling to the past and try to control the behavior and step into a new reality. At best, you can control it temporarily and might be able to contain the behavior, but usually it'll catch back up with you because you aren't coming from a place of power. And your soul's power is the power I'm talking about. Not the ego's versions of power to control and be dominating, but the power of being the creator that you are. Now, so how do you begin to implement freedom in your life? I've given you lots of clues already. I've given you lots of clues. It begins with who am I going to be? And every day you are free to choose that. You can be locked up in prison, and you can choose to be a person who's esteeming of themselves. And that is one of the things I'm going to suggest, because in our world, unfortunately, there's a crisis of character. There's a crisis of character where people do the right thing because it is the right thing, where people have principles that they follow. In so many ways, religion's purpose was to instill people with principles and to help them develop character. Unfortunately, in our world, the churches, for the most part, have failed at doing that. It's sad. But that's something that your soul and your spirit can help you with. Principles are boundaries that you set in your mind. And you know, freedom needs its boundaries. To be free to do anything and everything and at any time, in any moment of your life, that freedom leads to a very frustrating reality. You need to have responsibility tethered to freedom, to be responsible for the freedom that you choose to create. And one of the ways to allow for the responsibility of freedom is to have principles. Principles are ideals that you choose to follow. They're self-generated, self-created. Nobody gives them to you. You choose them. I can give you some suggestions, but you pick the ones that work for you. But principles are the way you're going to behave and function in life, in reality, day in and day out, regardless of what's happening in your environment. Regardless whether it's a good day or a bad day, I'm going to be a person with principles, meaning my values, my personal values. I want to be loving. I want to be open to differences, to change. I want to be compassionate. I want to be honest. I want to be trusting and trustworthy. Those are principles that no matter what happens, guide you in your behavior. And a person, hear this, who implements, meaning practices their principles. They don't just write them down and post them in their notebook or their journal and say, yeah, I've got principles. They're somewhere in my notebook. Well, are you conscious of them? Do you live them? No, they're just written down. I took a workshop and I wrote down 7 principles. Well, then that's a person who has lots of principles with no character. Because character is the frequency in which you apply your principles. And that's in a crisis in our world, as I mentioned. The crisis of character. To do the right thing, to be loving, to be trusting and trustworthy, to be responsible. Those are principles that I choose to guide my life in my interactions with my coworkers, in my interactions with my neighbors, with my friends. How am I going to be? I'm free to do whatever I want to do, but I need to have principles to anchor me to that fulfillment in the future. So principles that you can write, and you could have a principle of being creative. of being compassionate. Notice it's being trustworthy, being empowered, being. What did I say the first freedom, the secret to freedom is who am I going to be? Well, principles give you the boundaries and guidelines that you choose. This is who I really am on a spiritual level. And I'm going to embody that. And guess what? When you function with your principles in place and you take action in your daily routine, yeah, I'm going to be honest with people, not just when it's convenient, but all the time. And I'm going to be trusting. And I'm going to do that as much as I possibly can. And I'm going to fall short. Hear that. Principles are not to be 100% achieved, because they are ideals and you're human. And because you're human, you're never going to be perfect. Surprise! That's a time bomb for some of you. What, Michaiel? I've been trying to be perfect my whole life. Well, stop it. Be real. Be loving. Be compassionate. Be trusting. And know that you'll not do it 100% of the time. But, hear this, but because you have those as principles, you will do it more than you would have without the principles. You will become more fulfilled than you would have without having those anchors to guide you in your daily life. So principles lead to character, a person of character. In self-esteem, the foundation of developing solid self-esteem. What is self-esteem, by the way? It is the love and the value you earn by the way you live your life, day in and day out. See, self-love is given automatically. I love and value myself. I'm a spiritual being. I love and value myself. But self-esteem is love that you earn by applying and grounding who you are into your daily activities. I'm going to be honest today. And you could have a crappy day, things go wrong at work, and this happened, and you can, at the end of the day, you can go back and evaluate yourself. That's what self-esteem is. It's the self-appraisal that you make about how you function today. Was I functioning out of fear and frustration and creating more negativity in the world? Or was I functioning with healing and strength and love and compassion? How did I have impact? And self-esteem is when you, at the end of the day, you can appraise yourself by the way you applied your principles or not. And like I said, it could be a crappy day, but you know what? I acted with responsibility today. And I was trusting of the process. I didn't try to control everything like I have in the past. I allowed things to unfold. I trusted people and myself in the experience. And because of that, I can feel good about who I am. I can feel good, and I'm free then to honor who I am and value myself. And you can be locked up in prison, and you can still function with high self-esteem. No one can make you do it. I can only inspire you and give you the reasons, that the benefits to doing it, but I can't make you do it. And likewise, I can't prevent you from doing it. If you choose to value yourself, if you choose to function with self-esteem, it doesn't matter what's going on around you, that becomes your grace and your freedom. So principles that develop character, so essential, which is what self-esteem is. Self-chosen, self-created. This is who I am. I'm a powerful, creative, loving, responsible, trusting, and trustworthy spiritual being who's having a human experience. And I want to bring my spirituality, my principles, into my daily routine. That's how I become grounded as a spiritual being. It's not about how much incense you inhaled. It's not about how many versions and verses of the Bible you read. It's about how do I bring it into my physicality. That's the challenge and the freedom of the spiritual being, becoming who they are. Not to abandon your physicality, but to unite the life force of your soul and spirit, which is your electromagnetic energy. You have fixated upon the ego and its domain, and you've turned your back on your soul and spirit. You reduce the flow of its energy into your consciousness. And therefore, you have to get energy from outside of yourself much more. But when you can align with the electromagnetic life force of your soul and spirit, how do you align with it? You appreciate it. You become conscious of it. You choose it. And it flows into you. And it reverses entropy. The natural progression of the universe in the physical world of the ego is entropy. Things get old and decay. Things fall apart. Things break down in time. That's entropy. Well, when you can tap into your soul and spirit's resonance and energy, it reverses the entropy of your consciousness. It reverses and it slows down the entropy of your physicality, your emotionality, your mentality. You become more conscious. And in a world that is riddled with dementia, the breakdown mentally of their memories, frustration of the mental breakdown, it is your spirituality that can heal and reduce the entropy of that happening in your life. A lot of people get dementia or get as they get older because they haven't anchored and revitalized their soul and spirit's energy in their consciousness. One of the reasons, not the only, but a major part of it. To be free can only be found, true freedom, the freedom that you yearn for, can only be found from your spiritual nature, from God, Goddess, all that is, which is reflected in this illusion as your soul and spirit. Because your soul is connected to the Goddess, and your spirit is connected to God. And it is your soul and spirit, the divine part of your being, that has the life force energy that can reverse the entropy mentally and emotionally when you've been stuck in old patterns of emotion, unable to forgive, unable to let go, unable to move through the hurt and the pain of the past. It is that electromagnetic energy of the light of your soul and spirit that can lift you out of the trenches of pain and to fill in the gap with light, to heal the pain, so that it no longer is part of your vibration, so it is no longer there to try to control or to reduce, and you can truly lift free out of its prison of pain. Physically, the electromagnetic life force can illuminate your energy field. It can activate your aliveness, your sense of trust, your sense of connection, your sense of being at the right time, at the right place, at the right time for magic and miracles to happen. It is that electromagnetic life force of your soul and spirit, when you become conscious of it, when you appreciate it, when you allow it to be a part of who you are, that it can precipitate and manifest in so many beautiful ways. So freedom is a choice. Ultimately, who am I going to be? Am I going to follow the destination of my ego, which always leads to frustration because it doesn't have the resources to get you to where you want to go? You came here to remember yourself as a spiritual being, not as just an ego. So that spiritual being in you needs to be honored in the second half of your life. Critical. Now, it doesn't mean that you ignore it during the first half of your life, but many people don't make much time and space for it there. But it's patient, because it knows eventually you'll run out of looking for stuff outside of you. You'll run out of trying to get more and have more and do more and, to turn to being more, to shift into who you truly are. So freedom is a choice to value yourself as a unique spiritual being, and then to embody that, to start to stretch and to mentally rehearse in your mind, how will that appear in my physicality? How will it change my addictive reactions? How will it heal and open up new opportunities for growth? How can I open up and start to envision myself with greater freedom, so that I have the freedom to in place. I have the blueprint of where I want to be and how I want to function and feel and do in that future. So that can guide me forward, and it can also send me the motivation and energy to move in that direction. Freedom is a gift, and you either use it or you give it away or you deny it. It is a gift that takes courage to unwrap and to stand true, because freedom challenges you to become more. And when you've become nestled into your ego's identity, comfortable in its limitations, yet frustrated at the same time, there's this tug of war. There's got to be more to life than just surviving. There's got to be more to life. There's got to be more of my potential that I'm wanting and desiring to fulfill. And it is freedom with its courage and its challenge that can open you up to align with your destiny, a destination that leads to being fully filled with your power, with your value, with your worth, to be fully filled with love and compassion and trust and trustworthiness, to be fully filled with creativity, passion, desire, to become all that you can be in this lifetime. And as you open to greater freedom, know that it has challenges. Know that you take it in stages, in steps. You don't want to be completely, totally transformed and free because of the chaos that would produce. You want to expand in certain regions of your life, greater freedom here, greater freedom there, in my relationships, in my wealth and health and all the different arenas of living life. I want to be free physically from the physical constraint of addictive responses. And I want to ask for healing and ask my higher self and my soul to help me. And I got to start to create a vision and see myself as that being a thing of the past that no longer has any desire or connection to my essence. To be free from the compulsion, to see yourself free from the pain, to living joyfully, to moving with freedom in your life, all hinges upon that choice of who am I going to be, that choice to challenge myself, to grow and to evolve, and to use the blueprint of principles, that I turn those principles into character, the way I choose to live my life, day in and day out. And out of that esteem, a level of self-love and an emergence of confidence can blossom. And your life will be more free than you can ever even imagine right now. That you are the one who has the choice to set it in motion or to delay it or to deny it altogether. You are that powerful. You have that choice. And as I've said, I can't make the choice for you. I can only inspire you and help you to see how important being free and following your path of freedom is to fulfilling your destiny as a spiritually empowered human being.